I'm looking at the pile of books I read this month, and only one of them I read physically. The rest of them I have all done through audiobooks. Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is going to be my first wrap-up of the year, my January wrap-up. And I have read 9 books this month, so I am a good head start on my goal of 100 books. We'll see how this continues. But I'm doing very good, and I have audiobooks, I think, to thank for that. I really enjoy listening to them. I find I can do stuff like crochet or even clean my room or other things while I'm listening to them. So I really enjoy that, and I think I'm finding a lot more uses for them and just getting a lot more enjoyment out of them. Only 5 out of the 9 are actually new to me books. Most of these are rereads, but the first book I finished this month was Eldest by Christopher Paolini. This is the second book to the Inheritance Cycle series. I listened to this one on audiobook through my library, and I don't mind these books. I think I liked this one better than the other one. But I feel like he's trying to be Tolkien or trying to be like a big fantasy writer, and I'm just not getting a lot of why some of this stuff is in here. So I only gave it a 3-star rating. I wasn't a huge fan. I could see some of the plot twists coming a mile away, and I still had the surprise and the shock factor, but really I had all of the plot twists predicted. When they happened, it was like, oh yeah, I called that. So it still had the shock factor, but it was like, yeah, saw that coming. It's always a little disappointing when that happens. I really do like being fully surprised when it comes to plot twists. The next book I listened to an audiobook, my friend Joanne from Instagram, she sent me the audiobook for the Rogue One Star Wars story by Alexander Freed. This is just basically the movie in book form. This I only gave a 3-star rating. As much as I enjoyed listening to a Star Wars audiobook and the story of Rogue One, which is my favorite story, being in the characters' heads, because you get more of a perspective that you can do with a book than with a movie, I didn't enjoy how some of the characters were portrayed. Like Jin seems like this huge emotional basket case, but isn't at all portrayed in the movie that way, except for the couple times she has a breakdown. But it just seems like she's constantly going through this mental instability in her head in the book, and it didn't really match the strength of the character of Jin that we see. And same with Cassian, he seemed like he had a darker side that only slowly started to come out, and it was like, is this actually Cassian? Who am I reading? And the other character that I didn't like being in his head, because it didn't match what I saw on screen, was Bodhi, who is one of my favorite characters. I think they mentally destroyed him a lot more in the book than it looked like in the movie, and I think the movie portrayed his coming out of it a little bit better, and it was nice to have a little bit more of an inside his head of what was going on through the book, but still, again, it made him more mentally unstable than his character was in the movie. The next book I listened to was The Merchant's Daughter by Melanie Dickerson. Our book club is doing a Hagenheim read-along of all the Hagenheim books. So January's book was The Merchant's Daughter. February is going to be Ferris Beauty February. I liked how that worked out. So we are still on hold for live shows right now, just with what is going on with Melanie and her family, and even for some things that are going on with me. But I will let you guys know when we are doing live shows, and we'll still be doing discussions in the group on Goodreads. So stay tuned for that and stay plugged into the Goodreads group, and I'll announce that when we know what we're doing. But I reread Merchant's Daughter. A lot of the rereads I kept at their original star rating unless my opinion changed on them. Merchant's Daughter didn't. I still really enjoyed this. It's not my favorite of her Beauty and the Beast taking a look at a second person type books, but it is still one of my favorite books of hers. The only book I physically read this month was Revolutionary by Krista McGee, and this took me the longest to get through because of having to actually sit down and set time to physically read it. And for some reason it just takes me longer now to physically read a book than it is to listen to a book. I don't know if I become a lazy reader. But I finally finished Revolutionary. I still give it a 5-star book, although I see a lot of things in it that I didn't like as much. Maybe I don't ship Tally and Alex anymore, but I also still don't ship Tally and Burke. Like, I'm still confused on the relationship parts of where I stand with that. I'm still happy of how everything ended up, and, but to me it started to feel also convenient, if that makes sense. but still left it at a 5-star rating. We had this as our December book club pick on Coffee Chapters and Christian YA Book Club, but again, unfortunately, we had to cancel the live show full out for this one, so I do apologize for that. The next two books were rereads as well, and that was Catching Fire and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. I started a Hunger Games reread in December, and I finished with the 2 audiobooks from my library. Of these 2, I really enjoyed these audiobooks, and I still really enjoy these stories. Like, I don't know why. Reading them each time, I bring up new ideas, I catch things I didn't the first time, so I still left both of these at their 5-star rating. I still like how the movie wrapped up Mockingjay more than the book did. I felt like everything was rushed and convenient, but I still really enjoy a lot more of what happened, especially with like Joanna in Mockingjay, but I do also prefer that they had Effie during Mockingjay instead of her prep team. So, you know, either or. But I left these books at 5 stars. The next 2 books are brand new to me books, and those were River Secrets and Forestborn by Shannon Hale. These are books 3 and 4 of the Books of Bay Erin series by Shannon Hale. I adore this book series. I had no idea how much I would love this series. Like Finn is one of my all-time favorite characters. You meet him in Anna Burning, but like all of the characters kind of continue all the way to the end, and I loved this. I also really enjoyed Renna in Forestburn. I really identified with Renna, just like her need to belong, her anxiety and her fear, her drive to try to mimic people, and like maybe that'll make her feel comfortable and she'll find a place to fit. Just there's so much of her character that made me identify with a lot of that, so I really enjoyed this story. And again, just the characters and how they bring on and continue the story, it was just incredible. Plus, the audiobooks for these are pretty good, and they do like a dramatized audiobook, so you have some different voice actors for the characters, and it's really well done, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Both of these gave 5-star ratings because they have just become one of my favorite fairy tale retellings or fairy tale-esque type books. The last book I read was also an audiobook, and that was The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This audiobook I listened to was an Audible production with Anne Hathaway narrating, and it was actually really good. Anne Hathaway did a very good narration, and she did very good different voices. I like it when actors are able to do and differentiate the voices between the characters. The Audible production of Wizard of Oz is one I would recommend. The like celebrity narrators are really good, depending on who you get as a narrator. So I have a couple of them for Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, so those are going to be the next classics I get to. But Wizard of Oz was very enjoyable, very different from the movie, but I still very enjoyed the original story. So those are all the books I read in January. Like I said, the 2 last books of Bay Erin were my favorite books of the month. Really enjoyed that. They're also my favorite audiobooks of the month, and I can't wait to reread them. I don't know if I'll listen to them on audiobook again or if I'll physically read them. I'm already planning a reread of them because they are just so good. Or even just like binging them in one go, because I didn't get to do that because I was waiting for the rest of the book series. But they were my favorite. As always, guys, please let me know down below what your favorite books of the month were. I like getting recommendations that way. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!